News 8 at 6:30.
Thanks for joining us tonight for News 8 at 6:30. I'm Johnnie Gendrich. Denise has the night off. Multiple fatalities in New York City tonight after a man drove a truck onto a crowded sidewalk. What police are saying about the possible motive. And a story that doesn't quite add up. Why some are raising questions about those two women who were lost at sea, who say they were stranded for 5 months. Then later, Oh So Sweet by Tiffany is joining me in the kitchen for our News 8 trio. Tiffany herself will show us 3 last-minute Halloween cupcake decorating ideas. But first, at least 8 people are dead in what's being called an act of terror after a truck drove onto a crowded bike path near the World Trade Center Memorial. At least 11 other people were hurt in the attack. Police say the suspect left the truck holding what appeared to be a gun. Police shot and injured the suspect before taking him into custody. He's now being treated in the hospital. Officials say there are no other suspects right now. President Donald Trump today is dismissing one of the indicted former campaign aides as a low-level volunteer and a liar. He tweeted George Papadopoulos was a young, little-known, low-level volunteer and a proven liar. He was arrested in July and is pleading guilty to lying to the FBI. Cooperation by Papadopoulos with special counsel Robert Mueller's investigation may have contributed to the charges against Paul Manafort and Rick Gates. Today, Republican lawmakers say they will support Mueller's investigation no matter where it leads.
I believe that this is a very important investigation. It speaks to the integrity of our democratic process, and there is no doubt in my mind that the Russians did try to influence the elections last fall, and they're continuing those activities in other Western democracies.
White House Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders repeated today the indictments have nothing to do with the president or his campaign. Attorneys for Facebook, Google, and Twitter testified in front of Congress today about Russian activity around the 2016 election. Facebook says a Russian group posted more than 80,000 times during and after the election, which could have reached as many as 126 million users. Twitter says it has uncovered more than 2,000 Russia-linked accounts that tweeted more than 1 million times about the election last fall. The Senate and House Intelligence Committees will hold another hearing tomorrow. U.S. forces have captured a man who authorities believe played a role in the Benghazi attack. Special Operations Forces captured Mustafa al-Imam in Libya. A Trump administration official says the government has video of him at one of the attack sites. The 2012 attack killed 4 Americans. The suspect was flown onto a Navy ship and is on his way to America for prosecution. The man officials believe led that attack is currently on trial in Washington. President Trump says he hopes to sign a tax reform bill by Christmas. House Republicans will unveil their tax bill tomorrow. It's expected to curb the state and local deduction for individuals as well as simplify taxes, reducing the number of individual income brackets from 7 to 3. At a meeting at the White House today, the president said he hopes the House and Senate will pass the bill by Thanksgiving so he can sign it by Christmas.
It'll be a big event. It'll be the biggest tax event in the history of our country.
Trump heads to Asia on Friday. Today he said he's directing Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin and White House Economic Advisor Gary Cohn to help push the proposal while he's gone. There are new questions about the 2 women rescued at sea after being lost for months. The U.S. Navy found the 2 Americans stranded near Japan last week. The women said their boat was damaged by a bad storm that happened back in May, but the National Weather Service says that storm never happened. The women also said they had several communication devices that went dead, but they failed to mention they had an emergency beacon. That's a device that can send a boat's location to rescuers. They say they never used it because they felt like they were never truly in distress, contradicting their previous story.
Had they not been able to locate us, we would have been dead within 24 hours.
The Coast Guard is reviewing this case, but right now there's no criminal investigation. A man in Des Moines is facing charges tonight after he allegedly attacked a homeowner while he was in his Halloween costume. Over the weekend, at a party, a man dressed as the Grumpy Bear Care Bear was found going through the homeowner's truck. Police say the homeowner confronted the suspect, who was drunk and thought he was in a different city. He was charged with first-degree burglary and second-degree robbery. Taking a look at your local headlines tonight, a Davenport program aimed at keeping kids out of the criminal justice system is expanding. Today, a ribbon cutting was held to celebrate the diversion program's new space. Recently, there's been a spike in juvenile crime in the Quad Cities, especially car thefts from teenagers as young as 13. The program's director says he hopes to steer young people onto a better path and keep them from reoffending instead of sending them to juvenile court. Substitute teachers' aides will no longer need a college education to practice in Clinton, Iowa. There's a statewide shortage of substitute teachers' aides, so the Clinton School District decided to change the education level required for that job. Now, all you need is a clear background check and a high school diploma. The school district has made the change after a number of substitute aides dropped for several years. The district now hopes to hire 20 people to fill those jobs. Illinois high schools' SAT scores are below average. According to the Illinois State Board of Education, about 2/3 of the state's public high school scores range from the low 740s to the high 1300s. That's considered low for the college entrance exam. Teens in poor neighborhoods perform the worst, while students in wealthier suburbs had better scores. The John Deere Classic was just 4 months ago, but today more than 500 charities found out just how much money they will receive. Birdies for Charities broke the record once again and raised $12.2 million for more than 500 local charities. Last year's record was $10.5 million. Birdies also did a card giveaway for 6 of the charity donors who guessed the exact number of birdies in this year's tournament. Connie from Moline walked away with the new Lexus. Coming up on News 8 at 6:30, health warning, why the FDA is cautioning parents about a certain type of candy you could find in your child's Halloween bag. Plus, Tow to Go, the service AAA is offering in certain areas to help you stay safe tonight.
And all dry for our trick-or-treaters this evening, just a bit on the chilly side. And speaking of dry, yeah, we're going to keep it that way for just a little bit longer. Tell you for how long, right after the break here on News 8 at 6:30.